everyone, and welcome to the Experiential Moment with Alan and Dianne. And we have an amazing guest today. And this show is all about connecting with enlightened entrepreneurs, business entrepreneurs that have really like-minded, that they like to really magnify their gifts and be able to really share their gifts with the world and to really project their gifts and abilities to really help others be the better version of themselves. So I have an amazing co-host with me today, Dianne. Welcome to the show, Dianne.
Thank you so much, Alan. But Alan, before you actually run away from me, why don't first of all, thank everyone for joining us, and those who are joining us, please catch the replay, share. But Alan, why don't you tell everyone quickly a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Alan Luke from Toronto. So I'm known as the alignment and clarity coach. I help entrepreneurs really get crystal clear about who they are and what they're really good at. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and they have a really big idea. They want to help people, they want to serve in a high level, but they don't know who their ideal clients are and they don't know how to best position and brand themselves online. So my background came from digital marketing and um, we help our client really build this experiential moment, this experience to allow them to generate leads to attracting their best clients. And along with Dianne, we were running workshops to actually empower entrepreneurs to give them that crystal clarity so that they can really start and grow their business.
Absolutely. But thank you so much. For those who are just joining, my name is Dianne Ojar. For most of you know who I am, and some of them may not. Those might be Asifa's group. And I want to say thank you so much. I am the presidency of Olive Media Network, as well as an author, radio host, TV host, the experiential coach. We're just working on a new program called Ignite Your Business that Alan just found out about today. you know, and there's much more that we do. Of course, one of the things that Asifa and myself have in common is that we are both members of International Men's Day. And I want to thank us so much for being part of that. So, and you'll find out more about us. And go back and check out some of the other shows and catch us on the replay as well. But let me introduce Asifa Baig. As what should I say? Asifa, I've known us for quite a number of years, and I'm so proud to say that she's been working with me on the International Men's Day, but I've gotten to know her family really well. And she's a woman that just goes. This woman does not sleep. She does not sleep. She went from corporate to owning her own business, which she will tell you about in a moment, to doing a lot of non for profit, charity, volunteer. Here, I'm back home from Pakistan. She's from Pakistan, and she's all over the place now. She's doing all these interviews and writing, and you know what? She's just a great soul to be around. And she cooks a really good curry buffalo. If you haven't had curry buffalo, you got to try her curry buffalo. Asifa, my dear, welcome to the experiential moment where you can help us help others take their business to the next level. And we can go talk about physical, traditional, spiritual, holistic. We're going to talk about all these things as best as we can. Okay. So thank you for those who are
Thank
joining us.
you. Thank you,
You're
Dianne. And thank you, Alan. What a pleasure to meet you, Alan, today. And Dianne, reconnecting with you is always
We
so.
never disconnected.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, as you know, as I mentioned to Alan earlier, like just, you and I, how we met, I don't think anything happens by accident, right? I mean, there's no coincidence in life. We attract, you know, uh, the people in our life. And you and I met at a chance networking event that was, for all intents and other purposes, it wasn't, nothing came of it, but you and I met that day. And, it really truly has been an incredible experience and journey. Just, I think we can say we've grown together, Dianne.
We have. We
You
have.
know, I think we've grown together, and just, watching you and seeing the incredible, work and success that Olive Media is having. And, a lot of, I think oftentimes people see the end result, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, and they say, wow, she's lucky, or, that's really good. Truly, almost luck has nothing to do with it. you know we've been grinding, but I'm in complete joy and gratitude for where I am in my life right now. And I think all of our experiences shape us, right? So I wouldn't change anything. We'll get into I guess my story a little bit is, got married at a very young age. I was, 18 when I got married. The traditional girls here, parents are worried about what's going to happen with their girls, coming back from Pakistan. So marriage was like, first and foremost, get it done so they're safe, right? And spend 10 years having three wonderful, kids. Then I decided I wanted to go back to university full time, because I'd actually just gone from high school and, started having, 10 years of having children, realized that financially we weren't where we wanted to be, as well as I think just, I said to my husband, what happened? I used to coach and mentor all of my colleagues. They all went on to do something and, doing reasonably well. And he just kind of said, well, if you want to study, I'm here, I'll support you. So the grueling chartered accountancy route, 7 years, with three kids, youngest one being one. And I truly think that, when we're going to embark on something, I think often we come up with all the reasons of, why something won't work. And, some people may call me impulsive, but I think impulsive sometimes is good, because if I would have overthought it, I would have never done it. To think that, I could go to university and, the CA route, quite difficult, right? With three young kids, I think I would have talked myself out of it. So that, and then, a great career with the Ontario provincial government for 16 years, but the entrepreneurship bug, and, sort of this knowing that, I think it was just this burning desire always. When I went to even the government, people said, you being a chartered accountant, you're going to the government, don't you know you're writing off your career? And that was like anything but, because, when we are curious and when we have this burning desire to achieve and have an impact, we learn and create wherever we are. So it was a great career at the, provincial government, but I felt like I was ready. I felt like hopefully got it, sort of, it's almost like I believe he prepares us and he prepares our path. It was just like, there was no question that it was the right time for me, even though, going from such a secure job to starting from ground zero with my own, thing. But it really has been, I say I didn't take a leap of faith. I walked into my faith, and never looked back. I'm having an incredible time. And then I also, just from a business perspective, I felt like there was a gap in terms of, what businesses were getting, people were getting, having someone with a holistic, full view. We said health and wellness is overall, it's rounded. So I felt like there was a gap in, business support, as well as just sort of having that holistic approach to, business. My goal is to, bring some of this great energy stuff that we talk about, keeping business front and center, because at the end of the day, that's what makes us go around and pay our bills. But it's how we do it. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And thank you for everyone who is joining us. And please do put your names so we can know, and shout out back to you guys. People are totally agreeing on what you're saying. To have that, that desire, that burning desire. And I want to thank you so much. You're very, spiritual, I know. And it's perfect, Alan, what we talk about. We talk about the soul marketing, which is on the spiritual side of it. And you and I have had many conversations about many things about our lives, Asifa. whether it be personal, family, relationship, business. I remember when you were switching over to your own business. Let me ask you this question: what was some of the feelings that you were feeling when you decided to switch? Because I remember those times. Were you really scared, or was it the unknown, or I know you just dived in? Because at one point in time, when you were in your office, you were working both and
Yes,
type
yes.
of simultaneously, but it got to a point that, because I said, you don't sleep, and that's part of your habits, and that's not a very healthy one. But again, what made you decide really to go from, okay, I'm no longer going to do the corporate and I'm going to do, and I know you probably said in there, but let's go a little bit deeper into the business side of it.
Dianne, I think it really, I felt full. I felt full when I was at the government, at my job. And what that means is, I had worked on some fantastic projects. Whenever there was a difficult project, it was like, give it to Asifa, because projects are often not difficult because of the subject matter. They're more difficult because first of all, you have to, be one of, who can sort of create a vision what the end would look like. But often there are like stakeholder, management sort of requirements that make projects difficult. So I worked on some groundbreaking, stuff while I was there. A lot of my stuff went, across Canada to other provinces that was used. So, and we always say, whenever we are at a job, we always say, I'm so good, they don't pay me enough, or I don't get the recognition that I need. Well, I think when, it wasn't like anything sour like that, but I definitely did feel like, you know, because like I do enterprise risk management as sort of my expertise, right? But my understanding of that was literally, I know I don't sleep, but they say 9 to 5 is just getting by. Anything you do after 9 to 5 is when you're actually growing. Okay, so
I don't know about that,
no,
Aspa. Aspa,
Can agree more.
yeah, yeah.
Aspa. There's many reasons, not 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. When I sleep though, Dianne, so when I sleep, I am getting better at that. That's because it's overall health and wellness, right? But when I do sleep, I actually create this intention to say, look, whether it's 4 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours, I'm going to have an incredible sleep. That might sound like just me trying to, make excuses, but it works. It's okay.
Oh,
So
no, for you, that's fine with me.
yeah,
That's fine. I'm just saying, and there's
I
many
know.
people here are saying many
I
things.
know.
Not
So
much either.
so then it was like I felt like, and it was a long time ago, I had kind of decided I didn't want to climb that corporate ladder. And even though I did very well, senior management roles and stuff, but I didn't, it's not where I was going to be deputy minister or assistant deputy minister. It just wasn't the route for me. So one thing led to another. I decided, we say that people come into our lives for a reason, right? Some people come for, a season, like some people, right? So, I'll be honest with you. There was someone in my life who kind of made me realize, it doesn't matter where you get to at a job, you are still at a job, meaning not that we can have great careers and not that there's anything wrong with that. There's something called, I believe, intrapreneurship, where you can do, sort of entrepreneurship type of things within an organization. But I just kind of, knew one thing led to another. And somebody said, don't you realize what you are sitting on? You're a chartered accountant and, you have so much to give. And with the enterprise risk management background, it really does give a different sort of, perspective. So I said, okay, so, and I would also say I started I started alongside, right? So full-time job and that kids are older. So, like I could do it, right? But then it was so interesting because I would walk around saying, okay, now I just need somebody to fund me for a year so I can grow my business the way I want to. I don't want to be desperate. I didn't, when you're desperate, it shows. I wanted to build it my way, right? So, I was at a staff meeting and never used to pay attention to these, bulletins that went out. And the director said, oh, by the way, if any of you want to go for that, early retirement thing, make sure you get your thing. And I'm like, what is that? What, So I found out, and I actually was in Cuba when I sent in my when I sent in my application for that program. And it was really amazing because God, they say careful what you wish for, right? So it was almost like a year's worth of, sort of a safety net for me to do that. But I think what stands out for me along that is the decision. When I made this decision, yes, I did, ask one person, like, but this decision was my decision. I actually didn't even want to lay this big burden on my husband and say, I want to do this. What do you think? Because, when you're going from a secure job, which most people work for their entire life, and you want to start this, I didn't want to be able to turn around and say, yeah, but you said I should do it, and because the buck stops me with me here. Now, if I think people should pay me more, then I got to create that value. If I think my work is so good, the buck stops here. Now it's up to, if it is to be, it is up to me. And I think that was really the defining moment sort of for me was, I'm not going to do this based on anybody's advice. It has to be my decision because I can't turn around and, make excuses at the end.
Awesome. That's great. I would love to ask you a question. Now rewind back, to that day, when you were still an employee, to that day or that week you transitioned to an entrepreneur. A lot of people obviously suddenly, they go from having that fixed schedule to be totally free. Like what did you do to motivate yourself that week, that first week to get you in that momentum to start that business?
I think it comes down to like what was burning up inside, like, and knowing that, it's a real fact, knowing that, the pay isn't going to continue inevitably. So that's definitely one. But I walk around, Alan, I think, we say, how do you create desire in someone? I believe that people say, oh, when we look at the negatives or the failures in our life, so-called failures, people would say, I wish that didn't happen. I don't want to change anything that happened. And there's definitely been ups and downs because I believe each one of those things shapes us, creates that desire within us. And I really feel like I'm here. Dianne knows I'm working on other things, and there's a bigger goal here to be able to give back. And, I walk around saying I'm the best darn chartered accountant there is in the world. so,
Awesome. Yes.
Let me tell you something. Don't tell anybody else I said this, but you work to the bone and you deliver. And you deliver, and this is what it is that because you also, I know you're working on this business plan for a company, and a lot of work that you put in there, and I know they're very pleased with that particular business plan. But I know when we had conversation, like you really undervalued yourself because you didn't realize the scope of it. You really undervalued what it was, and it's actually worth more than what you had actually charged them for it. But again, like everything we do in life, it's a test to see, okay, based on that, there's always beta projects or pilot projects. So from there, you'll know, okay, what your worth is based on, the number of hours you put in, how much work you put into there. And, for any entrepreneur, this is how you understand who you are. So let's just switch a little bit, not to cut you off, because there's so much we got to talk to you about. In terms of the holistic side of it, and I also want you to down the road to give those entrepreneurs and those who are joining us with Asifa Baig from GenNext, accountants, and Alan as well. Please do catch us on the replay. I want you to actually give us some tips as an accountant, two, as a new entrepreneur. You're only like 3 years old, so we're still new. Some of the do's and the don'ts of setting up a startup. I also want you to do that, but also we're going to talk a little bit about you were talking about the wellness and holistic, because they're in business or life. There's like I said, there's 4 components as far as I'm concerned: physical, the emotional, the financial, and the spiritual. You got to have a balance. One does not lead to, I know you're very spiritual. So without that, you will not be here possibly, because that's what gives you the desire and the faith and the confidence to go forward. So let's talk about that. And then later we'll talk about some of the things that you want to, tips to give people who might be listening right now as to when they start up a business, what they should be doing, you know, not the shoebox type of
Yeah.
concept for the receipts and so forth.
Put it
Because
this way, though, I've had
those
some
things cost
sexy
more
shoe
money.
boxes.
Yeah, like those things cost more money, and the more you do and organize. So let's talk about first about the wellness holistic side that you have mentioned earlier in regards to the business.
So I think, Dianne, when it comes to business, right, we are, and especially in today's age, the digital age, right? Everybody is running to, we're starting a business. We want to start the marketing plan. We want to get out, it's the thing to do. And, that is a focus for any business right now. I think when we first start out, first of all, find something, if we can make money at something we love to do, is something that is a passion and love to do, then work doesn't feel like work. So I would say find your passion, find, what is it that you want to do. And see how I was speaking with someone in Pakistan. He said he loved cars, right? He wanted to do business. I'm like, so you know what? If you would just master like that, and just start speaking out, in this digital age, YouTube, all this, you'll see what you attract, right? So if we can do that, that's amazing. Then the second is I see that I'll share that shoebox story. Then it really is a clear vision. If without a vision, they say that people will perish, right? So same with, we're all big believers in Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the whole philosophy. They say what the mind of man can see and believe, can achieve, right? So you have to have a clear vision, and behind that, and we won't get into it today, but behind that, there's actual science. There is like physical, chemical science behind how that all works, right? So we've got to have a clear vision of what we want, but then in terms of like just putting a structure in place for a business, right? I think we plan for everything. We plan for legal costs. We plan for marketing costs. We plan for, pretty well, all those things. But generally, I won't just say accountant, because accountant is, but someone who, just say a professional, like, how I try and, support entrepreneurs is, somebody that helps you with the planning, and believe me, the tracking of what is going on. They say what gets measured will get done, right? So the tracking of what's going on is so important, to the point that I literally had one of my clients, when she initially started, I started incorporated for her. She got busy. She's so amazing at what she does, and she gives back at what she does, but this thing fell behind. And literally, this incredible person was in my office. We were like, in tears, because this person was like, I've fallen behind. I feel like almost a, criminal, not being up to date with my taxes, not all of this, right? So we don't even know, like, until you get things in order, you have no idea how that is impacting. We have no idea how that impacts everything we do, because, every time we want to do something.
I can contest to that. Trust me on that one.
Dianne, you're not the
I
only
can relate.
You're not the only one, because you
I
know
was
what?
a business owner before as well. It's sorry, to interrupt. It's the fact that that's your specialty, and we do what we do best. And this is what we're doing. Could I be doing something else besides doing this show? Yeah. And doing some work on, yeah. But it's not our thing. It's just, you can't be a master of everything.
And that's why we need, and I think it's just like, it's changing that perception. I love this one gentleman I was speaking with. He goes, Oh, he goes, I, after talking to you, he's in Denmark. So after talking to you, I've now gone and changed over to a chartered accountant because I believe after talking to you, it is an investment. So that mindset, that mindset around the importance of planning, creating a vision, planning, and then managing, and then tracking, and then, reevaluating, you know, it's just not been there. People are not used to that as sort of, maybe a monthly thing that they need to plan for. And I'll tell you, if we're not doing it, we are bleeding money left, right, and center. We may not want to pay a little bit monthly to do this, but you have no idea thousands and thousands of dollars we may be bleeding because we just not doing, what we need to do, much less getting into trouble with CRA. That's a whole different story. But just from, so I think just my goal is to, even in our personal lives, and you said that, Dianne. So here's the thing, me being, my own practice, helping everyone else. Do you know how easy it is for my own stuff to fall behind?
Yes,
right? Because I'm looking after everybody's, and I'll tell you, it starts to suffocate you, because every time I think of doing something, or every time, we think of doing something, we're like, oh yeah, but I got to go do that. Oh yeah. Every time we want to get into our creative mode, I think it absolutely kills our creativity when we fall behind and we're not in control. So, and believe me, when you are, it's like, it's magical. It really is magical. And I had one of my clients say, she's an incredible person. I'm not mentioning any names here today, but one of my clients, she runs a daycare, and she said, so when you first gave me your proposal, because daycare is quite intensive, right? So I spoke with my dad about it, and he said, no, go do it, because you have enough other things to do. And she said just the other day to me, she said, I'll just have to tell you again, it was like one of the best decisions I made. So I think it just, as we were saying earlier, if we don't manage those four quadrants, physical, health, like spiritual and financial, it disrupts everything, right? So, and I almost will say that, of course, health, if we don't have health, we don't have anything. But this can start to impact your health, right? This can start to impact everything else. So I just believe working with a professional, even if you don't have a business yet, we often don't know where our money's going. We often don't know.
But I'm beginning to see a lot of people are coming up when you recently are saying, oh, I just discovered this, and I just discovered this, my accountant just discovered this. Because what we don't know. I was telling Alan last night, can we write off NFTs? And things like that, because it's part of our practice, or it's part of the tools we need, and so forth. So we don't know, but it's just to ask a question. But it's interesting that you mentioned that you were speaking to someone in Denmark. Maybe it's just a friend, or maybe it's somebody you were mentoring or consulting.
Business partner.
It's a business partner. Okay, so again, the reason I said that, because this show is it's global, as you know. So someone may want to get a tip or learn something from here. So if you learn something here from Asifa, please do put it in the chat so we'll know that you're there, and there's something may have just piqued your interest. Alan, what do you have to what did
Yeah,
you
I
ask?
love the approach about the holistic approach. Like that's definitely, not only you can use it for life, but also in your business. And one thing I really picked up is that the reason why Asifa is so successful is because she has the mindset, which we know, Think and Grow Rich, want, knowing what you want. But a lot of entrepreneurs, they just think they want this, they have this vision, but they don't do anything, right? Like, so they're missing the action part, right? Which, as I really mentioned about the planning, and then really then putting that into action. I think the action part is so important. So maybe Asifa can actually, maybe we can elaborate a little bit on that. Is when you launch your business, like what is your any advice you have for entrepreneurs, who are watching right now? Is what can they do to really plan better, and so that they can take action better, right? And or even, so that it get them in the momentum.
Sure. Well, I think you'll hear me talk about a framework a lot, because enterprise risk management framework, all like, and then we can use it in general terms. A framework just, tells you, okay, what is the universe that I'm dealing with, right? I want to start this business. What are the different elements of this business? And there's lots of tools, available. Like, we have some great guides on our website, but there's lots of good tools that are available, right? What are the different elements of starting a business, that we need to look after, right? So having that, doing, researching, right? Researching in terms of, we're so lucky. I really believe the biggest blessing we have these days is the fact, people, you may say, I'm just like you guys, I'm on this thing way too much, but the thing is, everything can be used for the good or the bad, right? Or not efficient. But we are so lucky because we have everything at our fingertips. Give me a new topic, and literally in a couple of hours, I can learn enough that I could sit with the best of them in the boardroom and at least have an intelligent conversation. I don't have to become an expert, but right? So we have so much information, whether it's about a career, whether it's about specific, sort of paths that we want to take. And then, Alan, this really does come back to when we are clear on what we want and identify our why. Why do we want this, right? Why, and they say that everything that we want, we don't necessarily want this for the material value of those things. The reason that we want these things is because how we think we will feel when we achieve that, right? So really clarifying and, getting sort of in touch with, why do I want to do this? What do I want to achieve? And then when we're clear on what we want and we move forward, the second is really, the belief, right? The belief that, and again, this can get very even scientific, technical, spiritual, but belief in ourselves. And then the reason that we can have belief in ourselves is because, we are what? I don't know, can't remember, 63 trillion cells, functioning in perfect harmony. We know that there is something greater, whatever we want to call that something greater. The universe is the way everything is working. And it does. A lot of the work I do is I say it's bridging facts, science, spirituality, and who we are. And at the end of the day, our belief in us, and we can have that belief because I truly believe that nothing happens by accident. And, the creator has his best intention for us, right? Then what happens? Here's then what's the beautiful thing that happens. We don't have to do it all ourselves. They say the universe starts to conspire to bring people, circumstances, and events in your path to get you what you want in the quickest possible way. So for myself, when I started, I'm telling you, I used to do my own taxes. What I would do later is I would, buy the software because I was working a job, right? I would do my own even business taxes, prepare them, and then take them to someone else here, file them, right? So I had done that much, but I knew nothing about, a practice, what was, required, softwares. I even looked at, one time these people were saying, oh, $7,000 will help you set up a practice. I'm like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right doing that. So starting from absolute scratch, and the other thing is find mentors, don't be afraid to ask. I would literally go to people and say, hey, like, because I needed to learn the business, right? I needed, knowing accounting and tax is one thing, right? That's theory and that's, practical, right? But the software you use, how you make things happen, it's more about processes. I'm telling you, it was, I went to someone, people we know very well, a little bit into my practice, and we talked about incorporating. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. It'll, I just have to do this. It'll take this. And he goes, really? My accountant does it on the spot. I'm like, really? So then I was on a hunt and a search to reach out to some, and you know what? We will find beautiful people along the way. I found a couple of beautiful, incredible accountants who, shared information. And what happens is when you're motivated and about your own learning, what happens is even though I was new at that, there's lots of other things I can bring value with. So, talking to me, they got value in one way or another because I'm up to date on a lot of other things, which they may not. So it was almost like this mutual value that was being created. But all I know is those couple of people, my heart just melts because the stuff, I was able to learn because they just shared information with me, was so incredible. So there are good people out there who will share, find mentors. And then, as we move to get the practice done, we get creative. That's what, I think we said at one point we would hold this up. Can we do that right now?
Which one do you want us?
All of us have
do
our
you want?
version of this thing, right?
Okay, this is a classic version of it, and this is the other version of it.
Exactly. And this is like the 1937 version of it as
I
well.
think I have another one somewhere else. I'm not even sure.
So, what Napoleon Hill, so here, the other thing, Alan, like, honestly, we need not just hard copy mentors, but the digital mentors that we have these days, right? The digital mentors, like I learned from, there was something that stuck to me out of this book. Okay. And there was, that oh my god, the name's not Morgan. There's a story in there about how JP Morgan created this incredible sort of group or mastermind. So in here I learned that I could do this business by creating value for my sideline partners. So we're not business partners. They own their business, I own my own business. But I figured out a way to do things where I would do certain things and get what I needed to get done without any cost. And so we have to get creative. We have to get creative. And I think I am always listening to something, on YouTube, always listening, whether it's, the top secrets of, the most wealthiest people in the world. There's some great stuff. Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, there's I can't name enough of them. There's, we're so fortunate that there's so much good things. So I think just having a clear vision, just, it's do or die, burn your ships. There's no going back. That was the thing. I left my job. There was no going back, right? It was either going to sink or swim. And you know what? Magic will start to happen when we start to have faith in ourselves and, in a higher power, whoever that might be for, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I keep saying, and someone was asking me, what does that mean? Because they hear so many different interpretations, is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I want to make that clear right now is, it's not mind, distinctive from the heart and the soul. And when we say how you do one thing is how you do everything, it's your characteristic, it's your behaviors, it's your habits. And if you take that to the business side of it, because you got to work with in your personal life, not what people perceive or what somebody, you have got to take care of your family, you got to take care of this one. That's not what this is about. This is about you. If you're going to delegate, I shouldn't say delegate. If you're going to be doing everything and you're spreading yourself thin here, you're going to do it in your business. If you're going to do other things here, if you're going to be drinking on the job, you're going to drink on your job, and you have a business, you're going to drink on your business. So it's like pretty much we're saying how you do one thing is how you do everything. So what you have to do is you have to come back within yourself, align yourself, make sure you're on the right path of who you are, what is congruent to you, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. Stop hanging out at the bar, for example. I'm not saying don't drink. I'm not saying those things. What I'm saying is be disciplined. If you're disciplined within your own life, this is you. Be selfish. You have permission to be selfish. That's a funny thing. People do not give themselves permission to be selfish.
Yeah.
To take care of themselves.
Yeah, no, we have.
And you have to tell them to do something. Or they don't know, so they're waiting. It's like if you go to buy a car, you go to buy let's say a car, for example. These guys already know it's sold most of the time. They just want to hear you. You want to hear them say it, the words, so you can say yes or no, if that makes any sense. So you always want people to prompt you. they always want people to tell you. You gotta tell people if you're in this business of service or product and selling, which is what we all are part of, you have to tell that person what to do.
We're
Complain a little bit.
Yeah, they need some self-validation, right?
Yeah, you
none
Yeah.
of us are beyond, like, we all need to reflect, and if we can't do it, sometimes we need people in our lives who will help us do it. We can't do this alone. And I think, just, the one thing that I was going to say, Alan, is like, you know there is no short, like, whatever we are working on, mastery at our craft, there's no two ways about that, right? I say you can look as good as you want, you can talk as good as you want, but at the end of the day, we used to have the saying, it was like BS, so we all know what stands for, you know only baffles brains for so long, right? So at the end of the day, like, fall in love with what you do. People are surprised that I actually am in love, like, with, I love what I do, because I want to deliver value. I want to free people, because we need you to be good at what you do. I need my clients to be good at what they do. I can't do what they do. I don't want to do it. So if I can free them from this burden, that is why, like, I think entrepreneurship is very spiritual. I think entrepreneurship is, we get to create, we get to serve, right? Regardless of what product it is, regardless of what we're doing, we get to serve. Can I give you a story about the shoes and the shoebox?
Yeah, please.
When I first started, one of my greatest clients, and she's doing so phenomenally right now in real estate, she came to me with, and I said, I did a post. I was like, oh my God, these shoebox stories are correct. They're right. They exist, but at least these are some sexy shoes, right? Because it was this like really expensive shoebox, right? So, we spent, and part of what I do is, and I create this safe space for people who've fallen behind. Okay. It's not a crime. It's not. It can happen. So,
it's
when you come
reality.
here,
It's
what's that?
reality. It's reality. Basically, it's real humans. We don't
Absolutely.
expect to be, and the thing about it too is, if we could do everything, we'd be dead.
Yeah. We can't. Believe me, you can't do this and everything else. It's too
You'd be
complicated.
And
dead.
that's why you have to let go and dedicate tasks to people, right? So you have to build that trust, right? So you want to focus on what you're good at, right? That's your high paying skills, and then really allocate the rest, right? You want to magnify what you're good at and do more of that and better at it.
Why,
Mhm.
Alan? Why don't you just give an example, like how we have our experiential team, what how we've set it up for the three of us.
Yeah, so for the experiential team, so we have Deanne, myself, and another colleague Rose. So Deanne is, with her background with she's normally give the big idea, right? And for me, I came from a technology marketing background, so I'm the one that kind of built up the website, the funnels, right? The
Nice.
experience, how from lead generation to, all right. And then Rose is she's more the organized, like she's very organized. She's like so organized, and she will like, and she's also give like critique, really good critique, right? So when we put an idea, she's like, hold on a minute,
Hold on,
that
hold on.
that is not the best way to do it. So you need that yin and yang, we call it, right? That balance of energy,
Yeah.
right? So that way it can bring the best out of you, right? So I do feel that three of us have this unique skill set and
Nice.
also
Nice.
unique energy that brings on the table, right? So that we can each together. So each of us have our own business. So we call that the mastermind. We're literally working together, but at the same time we're building ourselves as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I want to add to that and say it does not mean that we are not crossing over and learning some of the skills. Like, when I see Alan, there's certain things I cannot do on the website we're working on. Then I will say, Alan, okay, you got to do this. I up to now, I don't know how to put an image in there because it's like a drag and drop. It's not the one that you guys are thinking of, but there's a certain skill to it and I could never get it. But I can go and add things in there. I could add content and so forth. So I leave those pieces to Alan. And of course, with Rose, I write a lot, so Rose edits. She's an editor as well, so she
Mm.
edits all the articles and the chapters and so forth I write. And then a couple months ago, I somehow my creative side opened up, which I did not even know existed. And now I create all like this, pretty much this platform. I run this platform. Alan could also run it, but I believe I am actually on it more than Alan is. So what we are saying is, yes, you have to have a team and delegate it. And I know what it feels like, Asifa, when you're the only person in that office. I've been there. I've done that. And let me tell you something. Somebody you just want to run away, and you just throw your hands up in the air and say, "What the hell am I doing?"
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are doing this, but here I'll tell you one thing: a peace of mind when it comes to business is really not having to worry about the tax man and if everything is in place. And I'm not kidding you. For me, I would stay away from CRA. For those who don't know what CRA, it's a Canada Revenue Agency, which is our tax guy, and like Uncle Sam is, and I don't know about the rest of them. But I'm saying to you is like it was like a nightmare for me. I didn't even want to hear the word.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to hear about them. But I spent last a good few months last year, like good few months having conversation with them every day or every 2 days. And I learned a lot that guess what? Some people who are there just hired to punch in something, and some of them don't know what left does, what the right hand does, or any other hand does. That's what I did learn as well. So don't always assume the big names can be scary. But guess what? They're probably scared of you as well. And there's some who are knowledgeable and there's some don't know what in the world they're saying. And they confuse you more than anything else. So don't be.
We, yeah.
That's why you have an accountant to actually represent you and talk on your behalf, like I do. Trust me, it's worth its weight in gold. That's what it is.
We do everything. We call it audit ready. So it's just our process. Whenever, you never have to worry because everything is always ready. If they ever have questions, we do our work anticipating those questions and making sure that things are in place. So it's actually CRA people. I have lots of good friends at CRA.
Oh, good to know. So, Helen is saying here, it's very interesting how you say entrepreneurship is spiritual. Absolutely. Just quickly, we talk about soul marketing when we talk on the soul side, and Helen is also a healer, so I know where she's coming with this. But everything is spiritual. Everything you do, everything. The issue we have is that we don't put it in that context. We don't look at it that way. We just don't survive just by surviving. We know there's a force. We know there's a being. We know some. Has anybody here, the three of us, and anyone else out there, including Sue and everybody else who've had this, and thank you guys for coming, it's the fact that you have looked up and said, tell me what I'm doing. Like, there's somebody or something or some force or whatever up there. Or you might be just looking at the stars, the sky, the moon, the light. I don't know. But you look at it and say, gosh, tell me what I'm doing. That is a part of it too, as well, because you're looking for guidance. You're looking for something. You're looking for something to help you understand why in the world am I doing this in the first place. So I'm not sure if that, and I mean, we could go on because every business has a soul. And you know what? We didn't just make that up because it's a science, like you said, behind all of this. But you have heard people refer and say the soul of business. Have you ever heard somebody say there's a soul in business?
If there isn't, then something is wrong. And I think,
But the heart in business, sorry, I'm sorry, let me correct it. Not the soul in business, the heart in business. There's a heart in business.
and I
The
think
heart of the business. I'm trying to remember the words, but it's the same thing, more or less.
Same
that
thing.
is, that is a lot of this, there's things I'm working on, which people will say, oh, why don't you register that as a, non-for-profit and do that? I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to do business, but we can do business right. What that means is, there's people who can pay, they will pay for my services. But there's people who walk in here and honestly, like, I have to look at each client. And just because somebody, there's many times like I look at my client and I know the amount of work that's involved. And, I have to make concessions, and it's just because they need the help. I can't turn them away. So bringing that spirituality, it becomes a way of life. It becomes how we do business. I am a business person. I love, I want to make money. I want to, incredibly global, successful business, but I want to do it, I want to, first of all, integrity is, the most important. A lot of time accountants will get people coming to them, say, I need this, I need this. I'm like, guys, you know what? We do the right thing and that's about it, So, that, but then at the same time, like, the impact that we have is really how we conduct our business. You don't have to be the term social entrepreneurship, conscious entrepreneurship. These are tags, but what does it really actually mean on a daily basis as we are doing our business? It's the actions that we do. It's how we treat our clients. It's how we, it's sort of going above and beyond. And the reason I find the spirituality is, believe me, when we are weak, when we are vulnerable, if at that time we can come back to our center and say, you know what, I'm leaving it in your hands to guide me. And
I've been there, done that.
I truly believe in that vulnerability, and in that, even though we may be shaking at the time, from a little bit of health, and believe me, Dianne, you and I know each other's story. I've experienced anxiety, probably, I feel, in one of the toughest moments of my life with a loved one, family member that, probably, I don't think it, that is the ultimate. That is what people experience. And even in those moments, we may be shaking and, terrified. But if we can come back and say, you know what, in every adversity, they say there's a seed of a greater good, and that is truly when I believe literally magic happens. And just, we just got to test it out. And whether that comes to money, how I do my business, there's oftentimes, I get nervous too, I'm normal, but I also know now that I just acknowledge that and say, it is okay, because those nerves are when our growth is happening. That's when we grow. I think, like, about 10 years ago, my husband and I, we were so comfortable. Like, we had great jobs, both of us. And then a number of things happened and we took a bit of a nosedive. Everybody around me knows that, and, people are like, what happened to you? And I'm like, you know what? The best of my years are ahead. And every single one of those moments shaped me. It just depends on how we look at it. We can learn from it, or we can, let it be our death sentence, right?
You can say the word if you like,
What's that word?
whatever word you want to say.
Oh.
So whatever word you want to say, you don't have to keep saying the, you know what you mean type of thing.
That's all right.
This is good as well. Nobody's going to hurt you. Hey, it
Oh,
is what
yeah,
it is,
it's
because
all
we're all
good.
thinking the same thing. And now wrapping up here, and thank you everybody for all the support and all the comments and so forth. What words of wisdom did you want to leave with our audience as we have to say bye-bye soon? Time. We're having fun. What would you like to say, Miss Asifa Baig? And there's Asifa contact, so please do connect with her. Definitely. So if you have a question, I know she's always willing to help. I know that as well.
This is the difference between good and great isn't inches, it's millimeters, they say. Just try stepping out of our comfort zone. Things aren't comfortable, but that is truly when, especially, with the pandemic, I'm sure, people have seen their lives change. Like, people may have lost jobs, may have lost careers, but not, if we truly believe there is a higher power, then even this pandemic did not just occur. Whether there was, how it happened, all those things, nothing happens, So I think, find what you love, find something, find what you love to do, and just, like, devote yourself and commit to being great. But in that greatness, find joy. Make sure it's, as surprising as it is, I find joy in these things. I find joy in creating the next, like, I know, I know. I just, it's about achievement. It's about pushing. I say right now, it's about pushing the boundaries of human potential, is the age that we are living in right now. And we all, you guys being in this industry, know that they say, what do we use? Maybe 5% of our brain, right? So our potentials, we can't even imagine. We haven't even scratched the surface. And I'm just so excited to see what is all possible.
Thank you so much, Miss Baig.
Oh, you guys are so
Asifa
beautiful.
Baig, thank you so much
Thank
for being here with
you.
us, Mr. Alan.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Asifa, for really sharing from your heart today. And you did definitely share a lot of wisdoms as to how an entrepreneur can lead to that path of being successful, right? Whatever success means to you, right? And some of the key highlight that I got away is really loving what you want to do, like loving what you do, right? And then having that desire, have forming that desire for you to pursue that, right? Take and then that leads to taking action, right? But before that, form a framework, right? This action step for you to move forward with it, right? And then behave in an ethical way and serve, right? We're not here just to make a quick buck and deceiving people. It's all about serving at a high level ethically and really helping others reach what they want, right? There is a quotation that if you help others, no, what is it again? If you help others get what they want, you get what you want too,
If
right?
you
So
not help enough people, yeah.
yeah, so and then forming a mastermind, right? Connecting with like-minded people like yourself to learn, to grow, because we are lifetime learners, right? You can never know enough, right? There's so much that you don't know what you don't know, right? There's so much to learn, and that's how you're always hungry for knowledge, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, so thank you for all the wisdoms. I encourage everyone to kind of go back and rewatch that, right? There's so much inspiration in this session today, that no matter where you are in your stage of entrepreneurship, whether you're starting out, you're on your way, you're already successful, I'm sure you can pick up some nuggets to really help you serve better, and become a better version of yourself.
Alan, you're amazing. I don't know if I said it half as eloquently as you summarized it just now.
Oh, thank you.
That's why we have Alan here, okay? He summarizes everything for us. Trust me on that one.
Nice,
And
very
that's
nice.
why I
So, what a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me.
absolutely. And for everyone else who is watching there, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Alan always. I value your knowledge, your wisdom. You're always there for us and for our clients and for me and the team particularly as well. Asifa, I want to say, girl, how much I love you, how much I support you always.
I
You
know.
know, we do so many things because we're always searching on that. We're always on a quest, an adventure. Some things when you talk about, your downtime, my downtime is like this. Do I need to do this? No. Well, yes or no. The radio creating an Alan knows in the middle of the night I'm creating all these posters and so forth because that's like my distressing time. My sugar level actually goes down when I do that, believe it or not. But I want to say, one of the things we need to do is sometimes we have to trust to surrender. And we also have to surrender to trust. So we have to just let it go and not hold it in. You're not broken, so you don't need to be fixed. We just need to tweak the things that we're doing. If your business is soaring, awesome. Then you got to look to the next level to see where do I go next to soar. Because sometimes if you're soaring, you can pretty much lose focus of why this is happening and don't always assume anything because if you assume too much, what can happen? You can take it for granted. You can lose it as well as fast. As an accountant, you see people soar and then they take a nosedive, and
Absolutely.
that can happen. So we want to say the next level. We always know for us in our businesses, we're really working on the spiritual path. We're also working, like I said, on the soul marketing, which is not known to the masses at all. But when we talk about this quickly, we talk about the mind and the heart. The heart all actually houses the the soul, and the mind. So the heart of the business holds that component. And our soul, we all have souls, everything has souls. So I want to say you gotta tap into that part and say, okay, what do I need to do next? And you know how we figure this out? And we know how it's working when we look at our bank accounts and see the numbers in there. That is a measurement. When I talk with clients and I said, how would you know such and such? I do timeline therapy, and they'll tell me this and this. And I said, but tell me, how would you know that's a form of measurement? And the form of measurement, it's really about the numbers. The numbers, regardless if it's personal or business, it comes back to the numbers. And this is a numbers woman. This is numbers lady. So you need to reach out to her and go back and check this. Go back and look at it. Go back and share it. I don't think the word check was review it. Whatever you want to say. I don't know the words are coming up my mind right now. All I'm just saying is that there's a lot of value went in here. Thank you both so much. And stop being so hard on yourself as a business owner. Because Alan is a perfectionist. Oh my goodness. That's another conversation for another day. And sometimes you have to say, Alan, no, you gotta come back come back to reality, come back to reality, come back here, and say, you just gotta do what you gotta do. I live differently. And we trade off each other and say, okay, Alan, you know what? That is amazing. I like what you're doing. And Alan will say the same thing, and to everyone here. So we love what you guys are doing. You're taking the plunge, you're taking the risk, but you got to, what's the next level for you? You've got to go to the next level. Never dismiss that. That's our contact information. Never dismiss the fact that, don't assume that you know it all, because you do not know it all. It's plain and simple. You don't. I used to think so. Okay. And you could do it, you know it all, and you could do it all. And believe me, you can't do it all. And you definitely don't know how to know it all. But there's something called technology and Google that can help you a lot, which has helped me. So I want to say to everyone, make sure you put things in place. Listen to what Asifa has said, what Alan has said, what we've said. And if it resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't stop there. Go and research it. Ask questions. But the most important thing I'm going to leave you with right now is, if you're going to ask questions to the right people.
Yeah.
The right resource, not your brother, sister, mother, father. No, that's not what's going to work.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the camera and I'm saying this. Right people in the right areas who will give you the right answers. And I always say, don't take the first answer for granted. Get a second opinion or third, possibly, just to make sure that the person you're going to work with is the person you're going to work with. Ms. Asifa Baig, thank you.
Thank you.
And for everyone out there, thank you all for reaching out to us and for the comments and for the support and love. Until next time on the Experiential Moment, this is Alan, Asifa, and Dianne saying bye-bye. And thank you all so much. Take care.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
And let me just get this done.